What's up everybody, Patrick from wpbuilderhelper, and in today's video we're going to be building a pizza website, and we're going to be building it with bricks. So I'm going to walk through and I'm going to build a complete restaurant pizza website or whatever. I guess I'll give it away too. I can't charge for it because I'm going to be using images from Upsplash and everything like that. I originally was going to build this in Oxygen, but I know I've been making a lot of bricks videos. I'm going to try and kind of switch it up because I know I've been talking about them a lot, but I am going to take and move away from bricks in the future. It's just it's new and I know people want to see it, so I wanted to take and build it. This is going to be a one-page website, so it's going to be very, very simple. It's going to probably include a Google map or something like that, and also a contact form. For this contact form, I am not going to be using the Bricks Builder contact form. I'm going to be using the contact form from our sponsor, which is wordpress. If you have not taken a look at their lifetime licensing that they're doing, it's literally $1 per form that you want to buy. I think for $50 it gives you some crazy number of forms, like 1,000 or something that's weird. But they've got a really good deal going on right now that you just cannot pass up. If you're someone who needs a form builder, or you want a form builder, or you've been thinking about a form builder, then wordpress Pro is going to be the form builder for you. They're adding in lots of stuff. They've already added in like 3 or 4 integrations within the past couple of weeks. They keep adding new ones, and new ones keep coming in. They're listening to the community, which is really, really awesome. So if you're someone who didn't get in with all the other form builders, or you're tired of paying form builder prices, take a look at wordpress. I'll leave the link down below, which is an affiliate link, so if you buy, just know that you're, contributing to the site. With that said, let's get started. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. So the purpose of this website is I wanted to create like a pizza website. So as you can see, when you go and you visit this, there's nothing that's in here, and that's exactly how I wanted it. I wanted a simple one-page website. I really don't even know if we'll have menu items. I have to kind of decide that on the back end if I want to take and do that, but I'll stop this video if I end up doing menu items and want to do some smooth scrolling or something. And like I said, if you stay until the end, I'll tell you how you can get this for free, because I'll export it, because Bricks allows you to export. So we'll do that. So the very first thing we wanted to do is we want to build our template. So the template works similar to Oxygen. If you're not aware of how that works in Oxygen, you kind of build a header and a footer first, and then you apply it to pages. And I'm right here, you can see I'm already kind of using a default template that's in here, but either way, you can use whatever you want to use. So I've already uploaded images. I've already got stuff on one of the other things I was going to do. I'm going to add in its own theme. I'm going to call it pizza, because it's going to have its own colors, and I want it to be across the entire website. And let's see, for background, site background, I want to use white. We can use the default white that they have here. And for the colors, pizza has 2 specific colors that it uses, so I'm going to create those 2 colors. You can just type them in right here. And I kind of picked these colors. I don't really know if that's weird. I guess I didn't save this. I thought last time it worked, but whatever, that's fine. So that's one of our pizza styles, which I guess I could have saved it to a default, but for some reason, you'd have to create another color pattern. So what I did before when I did this was I created a new one called pizza, and then that's exactly how I did it. So let's add this color in, because these are going to be the colors for it. And these are very basic colors. They're just going to basically be on the fly colors, I guess you could say, a secondary, and whatever. The rest of the colors are going to pretty much be colors that I'm using throughout the website, probably from the default stuff. So right now I'm going through the colors and I'm editing them. So you can see I have a primary and a secondary, which is going to be this. And I'm just using that just so that we could have that. Technically, we should have all of this filled, like a muted color, info color, success color. That's weird the way they do that. I wish that you could rename some of this, but it's version 1, so you can't go in and rename it just yet. So for this logo, I decided to take and use a SVG. I like the SVGs and they work. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That would be my fault. I already had the SVG uploaded, so we're going to just go ahead and select this one, and then we're going to select the width of it. I don't like that width. I want a width of this, and I'm also kind of confused right now why this is gray, but we'll figure that out later. And we're also going to select the inverse, which would be this one, and that's the white one. So typically when you look at this, it shouldn't have a white background to it because it's an SVG, but I'm not exactly sure if that's just because this is the way it looks. We could technically, go to the front end. We can see, no, it does have a gray background. Let's take and try and fix that real quick. So we'll go into our theme settings. We'll go into general, site background. I thought I had picked white. Apparently I did not. So there you go. My mistake. Now it's set to white, so now that looks correct. This would be a menu. I do not want this search icon, even though we could kind of have it. I'd rather use a button icon. That's more of what I really want to use. So let's insert a button into here. Let's see. So we're going to insert a button into here, and also want to make the button fit next to everything. So the way you can do that is change the block style, I believe, or no, it wasn't the block. Was it auto width? Auto width does that. So then you can kind of go in and you can change that. So this is the basic layout. It's very, very basic. This is a very basic header, but it's what I wanted to use. So we'll go ahead and we'll save that. We'll go into the front end and we're going to go back. So we didn't select one more thing we have to do. We have to set our conditions for this. So the header itself should have conditions set for it. And I completely forgot that on the actual page, typically you're going to have some conditions that you set, which would be right here. We're going to add a condition. We're going to say the entire website, even though this is a one page, and then we'll save it again. That's pretty important. Don't forget to set that. Otherwise, you could run into some issues with it. But let's go back into Bricks. Let's set another template. So this template is going to be the footer template of our pizza website, and we'll select the footer. We'll publish it just because I like to publish it first. And then we'll go in here and we're going to select a template. We're going to find a template that we want to use. So I used rank search for the template, so it seems smart to use the rank footer because it would kind of match. But in all reality, if I'm previewing this one, which I think this is like a restaurant already that you can kind of see what they've done, I think this looks more in line. So I'm going to use this footer instead because I think that this is a better footer. So this is a great use of the logo you can see here. And we're going to take and we're going to go back, find our white logo, which should be right here. But you can notice that it's not coming up correctly. So I'm not sure if I didn't save it correctly or not. We can use the colored logo, that's fine. That's not going to hurt my feelings. And then go into style and select the layout. Right now it only has a width of that. Let's select the layout of that, and we're going to change this color up too, so don't be too worried about that. We're going to be changing the color up of all of this so that it actually matches what we want it to match. I will go back and see why this isn't, and I'll probably fix that on the back end just so it actually has the white logo. I'm not exactly sure why it didn't bring it over. It should have brought it over, but for some reason it didn't. So I'll go back in there and do that. Like I said before you want to leave, you want to make sure that you go into the settings and the template settings and the conditions, and you want to add it to the entire website. If you want it on the website, if you want it on the front page or post type or however you want it, then I suggest you do that. And then we'll save that. Okay, so now that that's saved, we're going to go and start designing our pizza website. So they've already got a pretty decent amount of stuff in bricks for this type of thing. So we're going to use some of the templates because they really already have some of the content templates, just with, you know, here's some content and then here's some more content that they kind of used. And, you know, they've got this piece. I really like this. They've got this big, you know, welcome menu, and then here's our menu. They've just got a lot of different things for you know, this type of website, but we can kind of mix and match, and that's what I want to take you through and kind of show you how you can actually mix and match. Although if you wanted to, you could just import the entire restaurant section. So you can see here, we could import all of this however we want to do it, and then we could do it that way too. So it's up to you how you want to build this out. You don't have to build it out exactly how I'm doing it. So for right now, we're going to take and we're going to jump into the content again, and we're going to build out the content. So one of the things that I think I would want to do at the very top is something along the lines of maybe this. So this is a full up image, and we can see the images missing on the background. But that's okay. We're going to go back and we're going to change that. So we're going to click in the section, go in the background element. So that ends up being what it was that was. So in order to select this, you have to select something like this. It was in the color section. My fault for not researching that. I'll end up cropping out some of that in the other section. So we can see now that we have our header image. After figuring out where it was, which was just in the background section, you actually have to click the color button. Some of this throws me off from regular page builders. I'm also going to change this overlay because I want a different color. In my case, I want this red, which is very, very drastic from what they were using. Maybe we go with the orange. Is the orange a little bit too much? No, I kind of like the orange. I'm kind of okay with the orange. Then we're going to choose this welcome, and we're going to go in there and oops, we're going to change that afterwards. Let's select it and let's go into the style. And normally you want to set the style of this. So let's go into the theme styles, and we've already got pizzas. So you saw that we did that. And just like all the rest of it, I'm going to choose some basic styles here. So I'm going to choose like Open Sans, because I'm a big Open Sans guy for the body. And then I kind of picked a font that was in, oh, look at that. That's pretty cool. So I picked a font that was in there. This looks incredibly crazy, but that's exactly how I wanted it. I wanted the pizza to be, this is the same font as this. That's kind of how I wanted the pizza to default to. I don't know if I need to select that for each and every one of these. I thought it should default to it, but just in case it doesn't, like what is this selected as? This is an H3 and it's not defaulting. So we're going to go back to the typography and we're going to see what the H3 is set to. Let's change this, change it to solid. And for some reason it's still not changing, which is a bit strange. Probably need to save it. I've noticed with some of these things, when you make changes to stuff like this, especially mash changes, you want to go in and you want to save it and then reload the page, and then most of the time you'll notice that those things kind of fall in place. So if we save it, typically reload, then you'll typically notice that that falls in place. So in this case it didn't. So let's see why. See, they've already got this set. So one of the reasons why is they're trying to create a different font balance. We kind of aren't really worried about that because we're gonna create our own balance with this. So it's also got lead and primary as its style. Got to remember that. We'll change the text color up. Don't really like the way that red looks on there, so let's add a text shadow to this. And we're not going to use pizza colors in here. We're going to use like this. And we'll go in and we'll give it a 1, a 1, and maybe a blur of 5, just to bring it off the page a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, like that. So 1, 1, 10. And we'll do the same thing for sizzle. Sizzle will go into the typography and we'll change it to the orange. And we're going to give it a text shadow, same thing. We're going to go in and drop a black on it and give it a 1, 1, and a 10. Just to bring it off the page a little bit, just so it stands out a little bit more than it currently does. And then now you can see we kind of have that. Kind of confused as to what this is. It just looks like a button, but does it actually function like a button? So let's take a look at this second section where we can see it's a row. So no, this is not even part of that section. So this is part of this section. Yep, right here, column, button, icon. And then let's look at it. Extended URL content. Okay, so basically this just goes to the content portion of it. So if you click this URL, it'll go to the content. So that's pretty cool. I guess that's just showing you how you could use the basics of how this is set up. So content, I'm assuming, would be this, if I had to guess. So let's see. Let's look at this section and see, because I would assume that somewhere in here we've got some CSS content. So that's exactly what this is. This just basically scrolls down to this and allows you to do that. So we can do the same thing by basically picking, so we've got content. So if we want to go up here and set content as one of our menu items, then we'll choose menu items or our menu, and we could set that up here. And we can also set up maybe reservations, which we'll come down here and do. And then finally we'll have a form or something that they can fill out for something very basic to kind of input their data. So if somebody's ordering something. So let's go in here, let's start messing with this, see what we can do. So first thing we want to do is really go in here and edit this this section. And let's look at this background. I'm not a big fan of this black color just because I don't like the way that looks. I like the orange, don't necessarily like the black border that it's got. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna adjust that also. Maybe turn that red, just so that it looks a little bit different. I mean, obviously we could turn it orange also, but I think I'm fine with the red. I think I'm happy with the red. It's also showing a small orange. Oh, that's the orange from the section. So that looks good. I'm happy with that. I think that this is a button or some text about us. And you could go in here and you could choose how you want it set. So in here we would choose primary as our button. Funny thing is, I'm not even sure that, I guess we didn't set up any of this. So primary's fine. I mean, that goes with our color scheme, the yellow, orange, and red, kind of staying in that color scheme. That's fine. So in here, we're going to edit some images, and you can see that we've got some basic placeholder images. So we're going to go in and we're going to add our images. So we want to use like a picture of this, and we want to use some more images. Let's pick some more images that we really, really like. So we like the people, and we like this. So cool. And neat. It does like a little montage type thing. That's pretty neat, the way it does that. Masonry. It's even got a metro. We don't like metro. You could also do a grid if you just want. I like the masonry though. I think that that's cool. You can also choose the columns. So you could do more than one column. Okay, that's neat. And then you could also choose the space in between the images. So let's say I want to tighten this up, which I do. Let's go with 10. That looks pretty good. I like the way that looks. It's just something to add in some more some more interesting, you know, effects to it. One thing I would say is that I don't like the way this looks, because this is it's kind of set to the top, and then you've got all this space at the bottom. Not crazy about that. So let's see if we can't change that some way. I'm also not really happy with this background. After looking at this background and seeing what it's doing, it's not my favorite. So let's see if we can't choose a background like maybe this, and then we go in and we add the gradient overlay. Even though you've got two images as the background, that's probably a big no-no that you don't want to take and do that. Let's add in an overlay. Let's choose a color. Let's add in, this time I'm going to go with a normal color. I'm going to go with like a black, I would say, because I think a black would be a better color to go with here, just to make it easy and readable. And then after seeing that, let's do 75. And then after seeing that, I really am not a big fan of the way that the border looks. So let's remove the border. Let's take off the border. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that looks good. And let's see if we can add in, so we should be able to add in a box shadow. Could we add in a box shadow to this specific background to make it just look a little bit different? 10, and give it a spread of, that's a little bit too much. Let's give it a spread of 1. So there we go. Now that's just popping off the page a little bit, just looks a little bit better. You know, it looks like a section where we're talking about our restaurant, we're discovering our restaurant. So now we move on to the next section. Let's choose this color. The first thing I want to do in this next section is I want to adjust something. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's adjust the actual color of this, because I'm not happy with the text color, and let's set it to red. Do we set it to red? Yeah, I think red. I like red. And let's actually adjust the rim of it. Make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it about 4. And I'm pretty happy with that. I just want it to stand out a little bit better than it currently does. Also want to go in and I want to add something to this. So I kind of want a border at the bottom of this. So at the bottom, I want a small border. Let's make it solid, and let's do red or orange. And let's see what that looks like. Now it's added a border to everything, but it shouldn't. I think if I remember correctly, you unlink this, because it does that by default, add 0, 0, and then that will add in that border. So from here, we're gonna want to copy this, and we're gonna go over here and we're gonna paste, and so that adds in that same border, and we'll call this starters, and we'll call this specialty pizzas. So we've got our starters and specialty pizzas, and we've got our indulge menu. And then from here, we want an interesting background. So from here, it's got another background on it. So this is really a background heavy build, which is all right. It's not a big deal. You just want to make sure you're kind of varying it up, changing up your background so that you're not using something that's too much of the same. Now, one thing about this background is it's got the parallax effect, so we can definitely do that. So as you scroll, you can kind of see this background. But I don't like the way that it's set where the position is. I kind of want it centered on the person. Like, that's where I want it. I want it on him. So, and I don't want the background to repeat, so no repeat. And then we're going to change the color. We're going to change it to, rather than contain, we want to change it to cover. So we want the person eating. That's what we want them to see. As they're scrolling, we want to see the person eating. And we want to change this to pizza lovers. And we're going to go in and we're going to change the color of this once again. So if we were smart about this and we were doing this the right way, we would be we would be going in and we would be setting all this standard. So I'm going to tell you right now, the way that I'm doing it is not the correct way to do this. Because in all reality, you should be going into the theme styles and setting it all in here from what I've learned. And that'll just save you a bunch of time because you'll have this theme that you could use and then you can go in there. So I'm kind of doing this the wrong way, but it's all right for right now. The whole point of this is to create a demo of something that you could just see. So in here, we're going to add in another text shadow. So we're going to go back and give it a black, just like we did before. And let's just lift it off the page just so it doesn't look so, you know, like it doesn't blend in with the background, because we don't want it to blend in. I'm pretty happy with the black, although I feel like I should change the background to an overlay. Like I feel like it needs like an overlay on it, similar to what I had before. Go with that color, choose our black again, and then drop this to about 75. Although I think that that's a little too dark because you can't see the guy's actual face. You can't see him eating it. So we want to play with this to get it to where we want it. Maybe about 50. I mean, I want them to be able to see him, but I don't want it to take away from the text because you don't want that. So that's looking pretty good. That's awesome. We've got some specialty stuff that we've done with this. We've got our full menu here. So this would normally go to like a, maybe we change this rather than saying full menu. We change this to say download our PDF menu, because most people would have a PDF menu. So then here's like a reservation. So it's showing reservations, and we're gonna once again go in and change the style. And let's once again, let's add this to 4. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. And I'm trying to keep it consistent. I like the red. I like the standard of the red and the, you know, that going back and forth. And for here, I want to do something. So I want to do something different for this. So this is great the way that they have this set up, but this is not a full size, and I want to do something where we actually do have this full size. So let's go in and look at this layout, and let's make it a full width section. So I like that. And then let's go through and let's create some dynamic stuff to this. So I'm going to log into Glorify, and I'm going to upload a couple of pictures. So you're going to see me, I'm going to create a design right now. Let's change this to, that's fine. I mean, we're just creating something. So 920, that's like, that's a really big size, and it's an inconsistent size. I should have went with 1080. But for this, it's just, yeah, that looks kind of crazy, but that's okay. So we're going to upload an image here, and one of the images that I want to upload is this pizza image, because I like the way that this looks. And we're going to insert that pizza image, and we're going to go back here, and we're going to rotate this. Okay, so we're going to rotate this. And then the whole thought process is we're going to cut out this pizza image. I want this image, I want this cut out. So I'm going to show you how to do this on this type of software. Now you could do it with anything, but I really want to use this software for doing it because it's got a nice background removal tool. And so I don't want to cut off any of the sides. I want to leave it like this. And we're just going to be removing this black outline. We just want this. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go to, where's background removal? Let's go to the background removal. And if you're wondering what this is actually called Glorify, and this will remove backgrounds for you. You have to pay for it, but they have a lifetime deal. Once again, I'll leave my affiliate link down below where you can kind of remove these backgrounds, but it makes it very, very cool if you're doing something for websites. And then this looks good. I'm pretty happy with this, with the way this came out. Let's click done. And you'll see in a second that it is removed the background. Make sure it's removed the background. So in this case, it has. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to save this. Let's download it as a transparent PNG. and we'll download this, and we'll call this pizza cutout, and we'll save this PNG. So what I want to do in here now is I want to go in here and I want to change the background, and I'm going to add in our transparent PNG, which is right here. And this is a pretty big image, so normally you would scale this down. It's 3 megabytes, which it should not be so big. So one thing to keep in mind, you need to resize this. This is just me playing with this. And so that background does not fit, but what I want to do is I want to set it to top left. Instead of cover, I want to say contain, and I do not want it to repeat. So that's kind of where I want it. That's kind of how I want it. It's way too big for what it needs to be. It should be reduced. So for this, I would probably use something like tiny, if I could spell tiny PNG. So for instance, that we'll go to this compression, and I'll show you just real quick the difference between this, and then we'll re-upload it. So this is 3.6. In case you're wondering, you could use this if you have short pixel or any of the other things. I think there's a thing called compress. You can see it's already downloaded it to this type of KB, and that's good. We'll leave it as pizza cutout since we already saved it. We're not real. And let's go into this. Let's go back into our builder, and we're going to remove this now that we've changed it out. We're going to remove this background. We're going to select an image. Let's delete this one because we don't care to use that one anymore because it's just too big, and we'll go with this pizza cutout one. Normally you should just rename it or save over it, but in this case it's fine. So now we've got that kind of pizza cutout, and we could technically extend it. They've got some margins in here, so we could extend it top and bottom, but we're not doing that. We just want it to basically be on the edge of this, just to give it some kind of something where it just looks really cool. And then we're going to do something else. So we're not just going to cut out that, we're going to cut out one more thing. So we're going to go in here and we're going to upload another image. So in this case, I want to upload this pizza. So we're going to use this pizza, and we can delete this image. And I'm going to scale this pizza to the width of this page at least. Get it about where I want it. This is probably a little bit, once again, a little bit too big, so we are gonna resize this, but I want to cut out this pizza. So let's go to background removal tool once again, and you're gonna see that this works pretty well. Now we've got out this cutout pizza. It automatically did it perfect. Love that. There's other background removal tools out there. This is just the one that I like using. You definitely do not have to take and go with this method. I recommend you use whatever works for you. I just like using something that works, that's fast, where I don't have to go into something that is taking forever, or takes me forever to do something. So in this case, we've cropped. We click done. I thought that it should crop it. Let's crop it again. So it cropped the image. It didn't crop the border, but that's all right. We could resize this. I'm not going to resize it. I'm just going to download it. Transparent PNG once again. And so we'll call this pizza slice by self. So go into tiny PNG. Download our pizza slice, which is way too big. 1.7 megabytes for an image is way too big. You do not want to do that. 414 is still rather huge. This is actually too huge, but it's all right. It'll do. And then we've done that. And now we can kind of go into this image, and we want to make sure it's selected, and let's go to upload. And let's select our pizza image, and let's go in there and do that. Now, one thing you will notice is that this pizza image, one of my big issues with it is that this looks pretty cool, but it's also a little bit too big. So let's go over to the style. Let's set the width of this maybe to, I don't know, pixel wise maybe 150. No, that's a little bit too little. Let's go with 375. That's getting better. 450, 450, 400. 400. Yeah, that's pretty good. And you could even though this doesn't match this pizza, if you really wanted to be a little bit cheeky, just to kind of show you, you could technically go into transform, and you could go into the options here, and you can rotate the pizza to kind of get it to where you want it. So for instance, I think you go, no, that's going to do that. Rotate X. So that does that. So I'm just showing you the rotations. So in here, you could kind of rotate the pizza to get it to where you want to. So you can do some pretty cool rotations in here. You can see I've already screwed this up because that's not how it's supposed to look. This should be set too. So this is the one that we wanted. So if we wanted to, we could kind of like rotate this pizza just to make it look a little bit better, so it's not up and down. You know, so it's kind of like pointing to this, even though it's not the same pizza that came from there. It just adds some visual imagery to the pizza, making it look a little bit better than it currently does. And actually, if we were really smart, what we probably would have done was had it more like that. Let's set it to that. So now we've got that, and that's looking real good. So we want to add in, let's drop in another section. In this case, we want to drop in a section after this. And from here, we're going to search for Google Maps. I think it's called Map. Let's find Google Maps. So you can see we have it here. We don't have an API key yet, so I'm going to go in and grab one, and I'm going to put that in, and then I'll be right back. So after doing some research, I couldn't get the maps to run on the local. I know that it worked fine when I had done it with certain other things. There was also another problem with this that was kind of a bug where it would end up down here in this section, and I believe that it was from the parallax. Basically, if I saved it, it would end up in this section rather than in this section, and it just didn't look right. So we're going to go in here and we're going to add our shortcode. We're just going to keep moving because our shortcode is going to be the next thing that we want to add, because this is going to be a map section. So once again, I'm going to transform this layout. I want to do a full width layout, and I'm going to do I think I'm going to do an image for the back of this one too, because we've kind of got this image thing going on. So I'd like to do one of the big images as the background in here. So we're going to go into the background and we're going to kind of select an image, because I have all these great images. Like, I don't remember if we used that one or if we used this one. I don't think we used this one at all. I don't know if it's big enough. Let's play with it and let's see. We'll set it to no repeat. Maybe center. Scroll attachment, leave it, and background cover, maybe contain. So it's not a very big image, and I'm not sure if it looks great because you can see it kind of pixelizing. So I think for this, we're going to choose a different image. Let's choose a different image because I think some of these other ones are pretty huge. I don't remember off the top of my head. This one's a pretty big image. So let's select this one and let's go in and center cover, background, no repeat. Awesome. And then we're going to also do the gradient overlay that we've done is keeping consistent with what we're doing. Let's drop in this gradient overlay, although this time I want to go with like an orange. Let's drop in an orange in here because we want it to, you know, we want to have the text on top of it, so we want to be able to read that. But let's set it at about 85%, so you can still kind of see the pizza in the background. We may go in and lower that a little bit because I want the form to be readable. I don't want the form to not be readable. That's something that I definitely don't want. So we're going to go in here and we're going to save all of this. We're going to go back to WordPress and let's grab our form. So we're going to use a basic contact form similar to what we had before, just in case you're wondering. I did not add this, but I am going to add it. We're going to be using wordpress because they've just got some really cool stuff that's coming out, and I've been really enjoying their stuff. So we've added wordpress. Let's activate it. Okay, so now that's activated, and we can go into our forms here and we can create our first form. So let's just create a simple contact form. Once again, I don't want anything too complicated, and let's just save it. And let's go back. Normally I would go through and I would take you through everything that this can do. For even being a free form, this is amazing. But for right now, I'm going to just save this. And we're going to go back into our page. Now that we've copied this, and you can take this shortcode, and this just goes to show you how Bricks works with everything. I'm sure some people already know this, and they're likely not impressed by this. And other people are like, whoa, you can kind of do that. So you can kind of see we have our form in here. And while it doesn't exactly fit everything, it's not fitting our style or anything like that, this just goes to show you the power. If we go back and we customize it, which we're going to do, we just wanted to make sure that worked. We can kind of change the form, and I believe that there's a way, and then we'll go there, load it back, and this should work perfect. That's exactly how we wanted that. First name, last name, perfect. We'll also, so now that we're kind of done with our form, we want to add in some margin to the bottom and top of this, but we don't want it linked. So want to give the form some margin just so it's got some space. I shouldn't say margin. What I meant to say was actually padding. So we unlinked that. We added about 50 to top and bottom. And then we can save all of this. And we preview it, and we can kind of see what this looks like. So now if we go on the front end, we can kind of save this and actually look at it on the front end. So we can kind of see this will scroll down to this. And we wanted to have these buttons. So the one thing I want to finish up finally with this is to actually go in and select these buttons. So we had the contact, we had the indulge, and then we have the reservation, which is the reserve now. And we're also going to have the contact form. So we want to have all this together. So I think that the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go in and we're going to adjust it. So let's adjust this. Let's make sure first we go in and we make sure we have our menu section. So we're going to go into the menus, and let's create a menu name. So we'll set it for main menu. And we're going to add in home. We'll add in the home button just so people have a home. And then we want to add in, I couldn't remember what the sections were. So let's see. We haven't set this up yet because it's not set to our home page. Let's go in and set that to our home page. Here, reading, static page, home page. Perfect. Let's save changes. Let's go back and we'll see. So we have this, which is our content. So there's a content button. So we could call this about. And then this will be menu. And then this will be reservation. And then this will be contact. Okay. So we have an about, a menu, about menu, reservation, and contact. All right, perfect. So about menu, reservation, and contact. So we're going to go in and we're going to set this in the menu. So now we're going to create menu items. So just click add new. And we'll add custom link. And we'll call this about. Link text URL. Well, I guess we should URL link text. The URL is fine. So menu item, change this to about. Okay. Then we'll add another custom link, and this will be menu, link text, menu, add to the item. Okay. So we've got about, we've got menu, and then we'll add in another custom link, and we'll call this reservation. We'll call this reservation. Okay, cool. Then we'll add in another custom text, and we'll call this contact and contact. Add menu. Okay, cool. So now we've got our menu items, and we can kind of save this menu. And then we'll go back into our brick stuff. Let's see what happens, because this may not work correctly because we haven't set it up yet. So let's see what happens. Because technically there's going to be two ways. So if we follow this, once again, just looking at how this is set to content. So we called this about. Let's change this to about. Let's change this to about. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to choose this section, CSS, CSS ID, and we call this about. Then we're going to go into here. We're going to call this CSS ID menu. Okay. Then we're going to go here, CSS ID reservation. Okay. And then we go to here, CSS ID contact. All right. Now, if everything works perfectly, which it should, but if everything works the way it should, then when you click on these, they'll take you to the about section. Now, the one problem I see with this is that now you don't see the sliced up logo. So that's a bit of an issue because we really want it. We want to see the sliced up logo. And I can see the contact did not work for some reason. So we'll have to go back and edit that. So let's go into this and let's edit it one more time because the contact section didn't work and it should have. So let's make sure we're doing everything right. So that's CSS ID. Why did this not work? Oh, there we go. Put it in the wrong spot. So that would be my fault. Preview on the front end. Let's go back to this, and now we can see it kind of scrolls. Perfect. Awesome. So that's exactly what we wanted. So now we've got kind of the sliced up menu and how we want it. We also have this button, which we didn't do anything with yet, but you could add this to anything. Like this could be a, if you really wanted to, you could go in and you could add in, well, let me show you something cool that you could do. So we're going to go in here and we're going to choose page, and we're going to choose, I thought that you could choose templates for some reason, but maybe you can't. I thought that there was a way to go into your pages and actually choose the page that you wanted. Oh, right there, edit header. So perfect. That's what we wanted. Let's exit out of this real quick. And let's go in and change the header section. So right now it's set to top, and we could do a sticky header and scrolling logo inverse, scrolling background. So we could do a sticky header. We could change the background to red. So when you scroll, it does red. And then it's showing a video. I'm not sure what that is, why it shows that. I guess there's like a scale where if you wanted to show a video and then you set the conditions and you populate the content. So for instance, we could take and we could look at the content here if we had content that we wanted to apply a preview to. Since we haven't saved our home page, I don't think that'll work. Let's go ahead and add this button too. Let's change this to call now. And we want to make it a circle button, so we'll add in that. And we also want to, so typically you would give it like a telephone number. So we would say external URL, and we could give it telephone 21 to one of these. This is obviously a normal telephone for like someone in the US, not necessarily someone in anywhere else, but you could do a telephone like that. I don't think you put the dashes in it. I think you just do like that. And then, you know, you could add in a phone icon if you wanted to. So for instance, we could go in here and we could pick a phone. So let's say phone. Let's see. One of these will have a phone. Perfect. So we could take and we could have a phone in this. Call now. And then let's change the style of the typography. Let's make it a heavier weight. We like that. Let's change the text color. We want to change the text color to white. And we want to change the button itself. So the button itself, you would want to go in and change the primary. That's how you change the style of the button itself. So for right now, we'll just use orange. And we'll save that, and then we'll go into it, and you can kind of see it changes. Now, one thing I don't like about this is the way that the logo items change. So I also don't necessarily like that it's got that. So let's go in and edit the header once again with bricks. Let's not do it like that, but let's instead leave it white. I'm pretty happy with it being white. We don't need black. I mean, we don't need the other background. I'm fine with that. Scroll box, we don't need to inverse it. Sticky header, conditions, populate content, top. Okay, call now, save it. And let's go and change the menu items real quick. Let's select our main menu, and let's go in and change the style of these, because the style of these need to be set. Let's change it to maybe an orange. Yeah, let's change it to orange, and then we'll change the hover style. And on hover, they turn. Well, that's not right. Never mind. Let me clear that, because I just realized I'm doing it in the style menu. I shouldn't be doing it in the style menu. So let's clear that too. Let's go in here. Let's choose top level content. This is where you actually want to edit it. And let's go to active typography. This messed me up a couple of times when I first got into bricks, because I just didn't understand. I was like, okay, why is this not working the way I want it to work? Text color, orange. And then we're going to choose this. Do they have active? Is active when you hover over it? I think we just set that. That's active, yeah. So you could set the hover styles, I believe. Yeah, if you want to go in here. So for instance, the typography in here, I think you could set that to red. And now that's what it's going to look like when you hover over it. So if we save it and then we preview it, yeah, you'll see each one of the menu items you hover over. We don't want this to change, so we're happy with that. And we'll go back to the builder. All right, let's go back to bricks. Let's go to the page icon, because we're almost about done. I know this has been a relatively long, drawn out process. Now you can see, because I accidentally set it like that, that's not exactly how we wanted it. So we'd have to go back in here and change this, which I kind of like it that way. That's kind of what originally what I wanted to do. I like it with the white too. Damn, I hate when I do something by accident and then I end up liking the way it looks. So that was what I wanted to do. So let's go in and change this to this PNG, and then let's make sure that we change the white. So the background actually isn't set to white, it's set to like this off-white. Save that, and then go back into the builder. Open this again. I've got all these tabs. That's definitely not the right way to go, but you live, you learn. You learn new things sometimes. So that's kind of the way we wanted it. I kind of wish that these were white, and they should be white, but the problem is when they go on this, they're not going to look good. Although, you know, it doesn't look perfect per se. There's definitely things I think that you could change about it, like maybe these should be red, in all honesty. Maybe the background should be a little bit darker. So maybe if we went into the background section and we changed this, let's see if we can kind of help the background, maybe with the overlay. Let's change this overlay. Let's up that transparency, although you're using that orange, you see, and that's part of the issue. So when you're using that orange, this lettering like really is going to stand out. So what we could do is we can go in here, change it to black, drop the transparency, similar to what we were doing before, and now that works much better, and actually it looks a lot better. I should have just went with that to start, because we were using it everywhere else, so we should have just used it here too. And now you can kind of see this kind of fades out. So normally you'd go into your logo and you kind of change that, but this just gives you just a basic idea, and then when you scroll down you've got that. So that's kind of cool. So you do this, and that scrolls, and then your menu scrolls, and then this scrolls, and then that scrolls. So that's pretty cool. My only issue with it is it scrolls to the bottom of the section. It'd be, in all honesty, it should scroll to like the top. It'd be nice if it scrolled to the top, but you know, you see how it kind of has this cut off in the middle. That's probably because this is in the way. So I'd probably have to go in and adjust the size of the header to kind of make it fit, maybe dumb it down a little bit so that when it scrolled, it wasn't so big, but it's all right. It's not a huge deal in everything. You can go in and you can tweak all of this. The whole point was not to tweak all of this. Let's take a look. Let's finish this off, because I know people are getting tired. This is a pretty long video, so let's finish this off. Let's make sure that our page is actually edited. It's set to our front page, and that looks good. And we're going to go into here and we're going to actually look at it. We're going to see what it looks like, and I'm pretty happy with it. Didn't come out perfect by any means. Obviously this could be changed, so once again that's something that I could change. And I don't like the white space between here, so if I really wanted to, I would go in and adjust the white space where this goes to this. I'd also adjust this background, which I think I'm going to end up doing because I don't like the way that that looks, just so that we could fix this and make this stand out a little bit more. So let's edit our footer. And the first thing we want to do, because we don't like the space and everything, I want to go in and I want to make sure that the top margin, this top margin, is gone. So I want to remove that. The padding's fine. I don't mind this padding, but I don't like the top margin. I don't like how that was set. Even though you should have some top margin, but in this case I'm not going to be using top margin. Also don't technically want to use these colors, because these colors are just a bit too strong. So I think I'm going to end up using some of the default colors, more of like, yeah, I don't even know if I like that. That's even a bit too strong. I mean, should we just go with like a gray? But that doesn't even look right. I think maybe in this case we would go and we would find a color. So it'd probably be easier to just go grab a color and find a color. So in this case we'll play with this. We'll grab like a brown, because I think a brown would fit, and let's leave it the hue that it's at, and let's change some of this font up to get it to match. So we want the typography, we want that set to more of a white, even though technically it doesn't stand out enough. Maybe orange. I feel like the orange isn't enough, and I feel like the red's too hard to read. I feel like the orange is better than the red right now. So we would change this, change the typography to orange. And for this, another thing that I don't like is I don't like the relationship that this has. I don't like the way that it's set up. So I'd want the layout, and go in your layout and choose align items center, just so that this is center. This is kind of interesting too, the way that they have this set up. So this is just a list item, and the list items are set to center, I believe. I think they automatically center. I don't know if they do that on purpose, because it's just a title, but it's weird. And it's not my favorite. I don't know if we can go in and we could set this to the typography align right. No, I didn't think it would work because it's a list item, so it's not gonna follow. There's ways that you could go in and do that. I'm just not gonna spend the time to do it, even though I know that there's a simple way to go in and do it. But it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like I said, the whole point was to just basically get this out. I don't know about this brown. I'd probably change up this brown, make it into something more. In all honesty, what I would do with this is I'd turn this white and then make this all orange, so copy this same exactly thing. Although that might be too much orange, so you might have to play with the red and then do it that way. And then now we'll go in and we'll look at the front end of this, and I'm sure that this looks much better than it did before. Let's go to visit site. Now we can see we have this, even though once again this doesn't stand out as well as I'd like it to. It's still not terrible in the grand scheme of things. It kind of looks like this went back. I thought I had turned it dark, but it looks like it went back to the same color that it was before. Although you can see that this has been saved, even though this doesn't look great either. And it's no longer got that bottom margin, which is pretty cool, which is what we wanted. So here you go. Built a pizza website, and it's not, definitely not. It's definitely not what I would go back and I'd spend way more time on this, but I was rushing to take and do this. I just wanted to show you what you could do with bricks. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I like bricks. I like the simplicity of it. I like the way that you can kind of go in and you can adjust these different things on the fly. It's definitely more of a visual builder than some of the other builders that are out there, which is good. I mean, I think they're all visual builders to some extent, but bricks is not a, you don't have to code if you really want to. You could really go in here and drop and drag things. So it's really going to be an Elementor contender in the future once it comes out with a lot of stuff that it has. Anyway, I'll give this away for free. I'll bundle it, and I'm going to rip out, of course, all the API keys and all of that. So if there's any keys in it, I'll take that out. I'll also give it a default email address and all that so that you could use it. So it'll come included with everything, and I'll package it up in a JSON file. If you want a copy of this file, all you need to do is take and message me in my email. I'm going to be getting tons of message for this, I know, but I will send you the JSON file once I get an email from you. So go ahead and send that, and send it with the title sliced up in it. That way I know that that's what you want, is the sliced up JSON file for this, and I'll just send it to you for free. I'll just, send it over, and you can have it and you can do with it what you wish. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.